When it comes to the topic of the current real estate market, it appears that nothing is too positive. Let's discuss some of the problems that a lot of people are facing with qualifying for a mortgage. If you bought property 4 or 5 years ago with a typical 5 years fixed or variable rate, or if you bought during 2021 or at the peak of 2022, you are probably starting to notice news that is not favorable to qualifying for or renewing the mortgage. On top of that, you also heard about the record number of new construction condos flooding to the market and what kind of effect that would have on Toronto real estate market. Let's digress a little and talk about it right after this. If you are new here, welcome to the AV Team Real Estate channel. I'm Antonio, the local real estate agent in the GTA. I post weekly videos about GTA real estate as well as market updates in specific areas such as this one. If you find it helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel so that you won't miss my next video when I upload it next. With 5 years interest rates popping 5% and above, and big banks or other lenders appraising units at lower prices, many buyers are having trouble qualifying for a mortgage. Buyers must therefore raise additional funds to cover the difference between the smaller mortgage and the purchase price they committed to. This will quickly affect higher value real estate such as freehold detached, semi-detached properties and townhouses when their prices are well over 1 million and more. Obviously, when interest is higher, the mortgage amount increases and some buyers might not be able to afford it.
Here in this article, they purchased home right before the real estate downturn. Now they're struggling to close. Home buyers at Brampton, Ontario development struggle to get mortgages as interest rates rise, home prices fall. Here are a group of Ontario residents who purchased pre-construction homes in Brampton at the peak of the recent real estate frenzy say they're now struggling to close on their deals because of a perfect storm of rising interest rate, falling home prices, and stricter federal mortgage rules. CBC News spoke to 8 people who bought homes at the Paradise Development Valley Oak community in late 2021 and early 2022. They all said they're having trouble getting financing due to the sudden real estate downturn, brought on primarily by the Bank of Canada raising interest rates in an effort to tame the inflation, which has sent mortgages rates skyrocketing and home values plunging. The buyers, who are mostly from the Punjabi community, say they want to honor their commitments, but with interest rates so high, many no longer qualify for mortgages. Those that qualified are being offered hundreds of thousands of dollars less than the amount they're on the hook for because appraisal value has fallen dramatically over the past 10 months. Existing mortgage rates will mean unaffordable payment, they say. So here's an example. Like first-time home buyer agree in October 21 to pay $1.959 million plus $90,000 in upgrade for a single detached home that would house himself, his wife, their 2 children, and his mother. Well, obviously they thought they can afford it as an Uber driver who earns income as a property manager and also from business in India. But with his closing day approaching next month, he's so far been unable to secure a mortgage. An appraisal recently estimated the home value at $1.7 million. Imagine, he agreed to in $1.9 million with $90,000 upgrades, so down to $1.7 million in appraisal. So that is more than $300,000 less than what he agreed to pay for it. On top of that, he says the mortgage rate he was pre-approved for would have required monthly payment between $5,500 to $6,000, but now he is quoted amount between $12,000 and $15,000 per month, coming up with hundreds of thousands of dollars to cover the difference upon closing, in addition to the $260,000 down payment he's already made. And making exorbitant monthly payment is something that his family simply can't afford. Now moving on, just basically saying they have not much of a choice. They have to either have builder to extend the closing dates or have the builder to reduce the price. Either or, they probably have to take it to the court and sort it out very soon.
On the other hand, I would say the pre-construction for condos in Toronto is not as severe as for freehold properties due to one major factor, which is time. According to Urban Nation's research, 97% of pre-construction condos buyers are investors. It does make sense since most end users wanted to live in the unit right away since they needed a place to live, and usually they are not as speculative as the investors paying a premium for a new construction hoping to ride the wave of of appreciation in the real estate market. A pre-construction condo project usually takes about 4 or even 7 years to complete, and this is the main reason why many investors are in it, thinking that placing the deposit and waiting for the appreciation will allow them to profit from it. The longer the completion date is, the better for the investors. However, the pre-construction period for freehold property is usually much shorter. On average, it's less than 2 years, and most are a year away. Because that is when the market peaks, many current home buyers who are closing in 2023 are in trouble due to the lower appraisal value for their home. For most pre-construction condos buyers that are closing this year, they most likely bought it at least 3 years ago because they have a longer time to complete it. Comparing the condo prices today with 3 years ago, they are roughly 15% higher, 40% higher compared to 5 years ago, and nearly 100% higher compared to 7 years ago. The numbers don't lie. So even if they have to close the condo unit today, the investors are not in a negative equity position. And in the extreme case, like 7 years ago, they can absorb the lesser value today. That's the reason why wise investors like pre-construction projects with a long closing timeline. So regarding the concern about the appraised value today being lower than the price on the pre-construction agreement, I really don't see that as a common problem affecting a majority of this type of buyers. I'm sure some buyers will have mortgage problems, but I don't see it as a big enough problem to affect the overall market. That cannot be said, however, for the short closing time for freehold property home buyers that is occurring this year. In another topic, we saw a record-breaking number of condo projects completed in 2020 with 22,473 units, and yet the absorption rate was still high and demand was also booming. Today, with high interest rate and a declining real estate market, the Greater Toronto area is set to see a record number of new condo units completed in 2023 with 32,000 units following delays caused by COVID-19, construction worker strikes, and other supply chain shortages. But will this flood the market? Let's take a look. As I mentioned earlier, many pre-construction condo owners are investors, and most of them would probably be renting it out first. With the average year-over-year rent increase at over 20%, it's clear that demand currently exceeds the supply. And with a forecasted population growth of 60,000 people or more for the remainder in the GTA, the added demand may not be met by the 32,000 new units coming on the market. However, the extra supply may help slow down the rent increase in 2023, which I think is a big relief for the rental market. So will the influx of new condo flood the Toronto market? It's hard to say for sure, but it's worth keeping an eye on as the year progresses. It will be an interesting year to say the least in 2023. There are so many uncertainties, and we just have to wait and see if there is a light at the end of the tunnel during the spring. Anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you